Have you struggled or are you struggling to get yourself or to keep yourself organized? Is time management a foreign word for you? Is life getting your way with multiple competing priorities and you don't seem to accomplish anything, even if you try time after time? You don't even want to look at your closet, your pantry, your garage, your attic, your kid's bedroom. The list goes on and on and on and on. If the mere thought of those makes you squeak, then this video is right for you. Today, I'll be sharing with you 3 biblical truths that you can start incorporating into your everyday life to ensure your life starts getting the order God desires and you can rest in Him. Blessings, everyone, and thank you for joining Yes on Mondays. I am so happy to be here. Today's topic, as usual, is one that speaks loud to me. Not only because I've been trying my entire life to find the secret formula of an organized life, but because I have never thought that I would ever find so many valuable truths about living an organized life in the scriptures. God cares for our every need. There's nothing too small, nothing too big in our lives for Him. I must confess that I struggle a lot to publish this video, to the point that I wrote some notes previously, but I didn't feel I was the best person to deliver the message because I wasn't living what I thought should be an organized life. My perspective was far from what the scriptures said about living an organized life or how an organized life should be. And bear with me here. I'll get to the points in a minute, but I want to prepare the soil for these seeds because this is valuable. I always thought that living an organized life was more an external thing than an internal matter, even though I knew that there were many aspects that needed to be in order inside. My thought was more about how organized we were in our mind or our external circumstances, including the way our surroundings look. I never thought that we must be first spiritually organized before we can see that in the natural. For me, that was a major revelation. Perhaps you are a mature Christian who has it all figured out. You've been walking with God and that's, has been a revelation. And that's great. But for the rest, these valuable tools will open your mind and your eyes to see what organization really is and how we can achieve it. As usual, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to receive notifications because when you do so, not only you're receiving these valuable truths for you, but you're also empowering other women around the world to become the best versions of themselves. I must say, I am so thrilled. We're starting to build a community of women and men in their lives, for that matter, that empower each other and who walk confidently on this earth, knowing that they, who they really are in God. This, my friends, is true freedom. And now to the truths. The first one is that yes, God cares about organization as much as we do. For God, organization is extremely important to the point that if we open our Bibles, the very first verses we find are related to how God put things in order first. If we go to the Bible, today I just have my phone, but if we go to Genesis 1 and 2, the word reads, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." This is so important because as we can see, earth was disorganized. But the Spirit of God started His word, separating the darkness and creating light, separating the waters and from the dry land. God created everything systematically, and every single day, morning and evening, He did something specific, which even included a day to rest from all the work. As His creation, conceived in His likeness, we also have the ability to work systematically, and we must rest in Him. That's the ideal internal order we need to achieve first before we see that permeating in every aspect of our lives. Otherwise, we're always going to feel out of whack. Our lives may seem externally in order. For some, even picture perfect. But deep inside, there is something that is not quite right. Why? Because the real order starts when we are spiritually aligned with God first. This takes me to the second truth. Yes, God always comes first. It seems evident, but in our fast-paced world, everything seems to bombard us. As soon as we open our eyes, it is like if we have become these machines, running a race with no end. But to live our best lives and to truly find the balance in order we want to achieve so badly, the word says clearly that we must seek God first. If we go to Matthew 6:33, the word reads, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This is one of the most powerful truths that if we purposely decide to make it ours, everything in our lives will become organized, and we'll see the breakthroughs happening left and right. As our Creator, God made us to have a relationship with Him. When that relationship doesn't exist, there will be always something out of balance, and there's emptiness inside us that only He can feel. God is telling us to seek Him first. He is not telling us have everything in order and then come. No, the reality is that He wants to give us His wisdom so we can organize every aspect of our lives from a higher perspective. He sees the beginning, He sees the end. He has the manual. He created us. He knows what's best for us. So how wonderful is that? To seek His kingdom first means that we align ourselves with the plans God has for us by surrendering our time and our resources. Surrender is perhaps one of the most difficult things to do for people, especially for women, because we believe we must be the ones carrying it all, and we don't learn how to rest in God. When we give God priority to guide us first, that means in every single decision, when we wake up in the morning and we dedicate those first hours, when we start a new week, whatever it is, everything else will fall into place. That's powerful. What's even better is that the sense of fulfillment and satisfaction will go beyond the best, organizational coach you could ever hire. If you are now like, wait a minute, easier said than done, my friend. Nice message, but you have no idea what I'm going through. I have a lot going on. I have this, I have that. I get it. You may be feeling overwhelmed. And I just can't anymore sort of mentality. Then let's start declaring and applying biblical truths. There's a biblical truth found in James 1:5 that reads, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Yes, you can ask God to help you deal with those mountains that may be on your way, whether it's organizing your schedule, to dealing with a major financial problem. There's nothing impossible with God. Matthew 19:26 says, Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible." The reality is that it is hard for some people and for us, to submit those to God's hands because we believe God is only reserved for certain aspect of our lives. That, my friend, couldn't be more far from reality. God cares about every little detail and have all the time to deal with them with you. Even if you have doubts and if this sounds too good to be true, then why don't you just give it a try? And please do share your experience with this community as to how applying this principle changed your life and brought it back to order.
Nothing's working.
Yes, order is required to live our best lives. I've been talking about how God is a God of order. And as we can see from the very verse in the Bible, that order starts with putting and aligning ourselves to God first. So the conclusion is yes, we all should aim at living an organized life, both internally as well as externally. If we go to the word in 1 Corinthians 14:40, it is plain and simple, but all things should be done decently and in order. There is a reason why this is in the scripture, and this was one of the first words I received from God as a revelation of His love, His mercy, and how much He cares for us. God comes first, then everything else. And last but not least, yes, one step at a time is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Perfection is indeed a killer of joy. One of the biggest issues we face as women is that we want to do more than what we should do, to the point that we get exhausted sometimes. I can't describe how many women have come to me with the same dilemma. I've been there. It is like an ongoing disease that we must cast out of our lives because, it's making us sick. We need to be active, we need to be diligent, but we also need to understand that it is a process and that we must have patience and let God help us to organize our lives according to His will. Unlike us, God sees greatness in us as we go through that process. Yes, during that process. Instead of becoming critical about ourselves, we must see through His eyes. He sees us as finished work. So let's believe that. Remember that everything that God makes, everything is beautiful. As the word says in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Look at the magic word here, time. Everything takes a process. So let's be patient during the process. Let's enjoy the process. Let's see ourselves the way that God sees us during that process, as someone that is getting someplace and is going to be beautiful no matter what. As we walk this path, let's just be realistic to our own circumstances, right? God made us unique. We ought to live our full lives and look at our own lane. And we need to be grateful. We must celebrate every step of the way and feel good about ourselves for the efforts we're making to bettering our lives, right? There's nothing wrong in getting that dream home or getting that closet organized, but let's do so without letting anxiety and frustration get the best out of us. Let's learn that when we put God first in every detail, everything falls into place, and that we can rest in Him. And as usual, I love to incentivize you to simply ask yourself a few questions before you tackle everything you have in front of you that requires organization. This is going to be the first thing that we're going to do. The first question is, are you truly putting God first in every aspect of your life? Time, money, family, job? Do you have many unfinished projects that you know you won't finish but keep them halfway anyways? What are some of the small steps you can take to start climbing that mountain with God's help? As you meditate on those questions, remember, it is okay to say that something is finished. If deep inside you know you won't continue, but we must close cycles. This is the biggest message. If the only thing that you get out of this entire video is this was a revelation to me too. If we haven't finished something, we can move to the next step. And so if we have started something that we know deep inside that we won't finish, we have to say, you know what, you're finished. I'm not dealing with you anymore. I move on to other things. And that, my friend, is super powerful, because I am sure that many of you are looking at that pile, are looking to that unfinished work, looking to that unfinished project, and you know you won't be able to do it. Or you don't, that was something that you wanted to do at some time, and then you decided, you know what, I'm not interested in anymore. It's fine to say, that's it, it's over. I close you and I move on to the next thing. That same is true for those big projects, the ones that we don't know exactly where to start. Let's start with little pieces, right? Let's start one step at a time, one small piece here, one small piece there, as we multitask. And if you cannot multitask, just go one, just do something first and do something else after. Let's do it in order. And if you're like me, that love those organization books or magazines, enjoy them. If you're seeking help from a counselor for your marriage, for your family, for your teenage daughter or son, yeah, go ahead. Look for, that financial planner, anybody that can help you with the organizational skills, like organize your emails. Go ahead, use whatever resources you have at hand if you can afford them. But remember that if you don't put God first, your order is not complete. And I will just close with the word of God in Colossians 3:23 that reads, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. Even if you think you can't, even if the mountain seems too high to climb, just start. Just start. Declare the word in Romans 12:11 that says, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Well, before I said goodbye, I want to share a few tips to help you live an organized life once you have put God first. Put things back where they belong. Don't wait until it gets overwhelming to do it. Just do it as you go. Believe you can and you will. Simplify your life. Clutter and hoarding stuff just makes it more difficult. Reduce as much as you can. Keep a to-do list and set your priorities. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. And remember to like, to subscribe, and to click the bell to receive notifications. Please share with other women in your life who can benefit from this message. And do not forget to rest and enjoy the process. Goodbye.
Todo va a estar bien. Everything will be alright. El mundo es su mano está. Tu mundo es su mano está. El creador del universo.